Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. So this is the start of my first reading vlog of 2020, which is very exciting. I talked about it a little bit in my goals video for 2020, but this year I've decided to do bi-weekly reading vlogs. So reading vlogs that cover 2 weeks worth of reading. These videos will be going up every other Wednesday, and this is the start of my first one. This first one will only be a week and a half of reading because the month starts on a Wednesday and then I'm going to be closing out the vlogs on like Mondays. I actually did a decent amount of reading on New Year's Day because after my festivities the night before, I was feeling kind of crappy and spent most of the day in bed, and reading was one of the few things I had the energy to do. So I was mostly reading my physical book, which is Whiteout by Ken Follett. I had already started this before New Year's, but on New Year's I read a good chunk of it, and now I'm about 75% through it. I've got like a quarter of the book left. I was like really excited about this book because it's a disease outbreak, or at least that's what I thought. There's like a virus in here, but it's not turning out to be the kind of disease outbreak book I was expecting or looking for, and there's just been a lot of like things that have happened in the book that made me roll my eyes or just seemed really improbable, and I can't say that I'm really enjoying my time reading this. The hard part is that I'm not hating it, I'm just feeling very middle of the road, and those are always so hard to know whether or not you should DNF or see through to the end. At this point, I'm almost at the end, so I'm going to finish it just to see what happens, but I'm feeling pretty meh about this one, and I'm thinking it's going to be a 3-star read, which is disappointing because I was really looking forward to this one. Oh, I forgot to mention that one of the reasons why I was really looking forward to this, or like feeling in the mood to read this, was because for Christmas, my husband and I got the board game Pandemic, and we've been playing that a lot, and that's a board game about like a virus outbreak, and that really put me in the mood for like a disease outbreak book. So I picked this up thinking that's what I was getting, and while there is a virus in it, the spread of that virus is not the focus of this book. This ended up being more like a heist story than I was expecting. So unfortunately, this isn't really scratching the itch that I have right now. If you guys have recommendations for good disease outbreak books, leave them for me down in the comment section. Another book that I've been reading for probably a little over a week now is My Little Darlings by Melanie Golding, which I have on ebook. I've been reading it on my Kindle before I go to bed every night, and I honestly haven't been making much progress because I keep falling asleep really quickly, and that's partially because I'm kind of bored while reading it. I'm about a quarter of the way through that one, and while I found the premise really interesting, it's just not really doing anything for me, and I'm kind of bored. So we'll see. It's possible that one will turn into a DNF, depending on how things go in the next few chapters. And then the newest book that I started reading just the other day is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I started listening to this on audiobook through Scribd, and I'm about a quarter of the way through this now, and I'm really enjoying it, which I'm not surprised at all. Like, I predict this to be a 5-star read. I think she's had a really interesting life, and I'm excited to learn more about it. Alright, those are the 3 books that I'm currently reading, and I will check in with you guys in a few more days. Hey guys, it is a little after 10 on Thursday the 9th. I filmed a video earlier today and I just got done doing some rough edits on it, and I was about to get ready for bed and go read when I remembered that I needed to do another check-in. I'm definitely still getting used to doing this reading vlog thing. I have actually finished a book since the last time I checked in, and the book that I finished was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I finished it the other night, right before I had a book club for it. It made for a really good book club book. We had some good discussions and talked about like our favorite little anecdotes and stuff that she'd said. I haven't quite rated it yet. It's definitely a 4.5-star read. Like, I really enjoyed it, and there were a lot of things that I loved about it. I just can't decide if I want to round up to 5 stars or round down to 4, but definitely an unofficial 4.5-star book. And I say unofficial just because I don't officially do half stars. You gonna go outside? I mean, I knew I was going to like this book. It wasn't a surprise, and it had been a book I had been looking forward to reading for a while. I don't read nonfiction often, and when I do, it usually is memoirs. But it's always nice when book club pushes me to read things that I don't typically pick up. I just think that Michelle Obama has had a crazy, interesting life. It was really cool to see where she came from, some of her humble beginnings. I don't think I realized what her childhood was like before reading this book. And it was really interesting to see how the way that she grew up and the things that were important to her manifested in the initiatives that she chose to pursue while she was First Lady. And I loved hearing about how she met Barack Obama and their romance and like them having kids, and I really enjoyed it. The main hesitation I have in not wanting to go ahead and round it up to 5 stars is that I wasn't quite as emotionally affected by the book as I was expecting, just because generally memoirs make me cry. And I did tear up a few times while reading this one, but I just wasn't like a sobbing mess like I have been for other memoirs and what I thought might happen for this one. It just wasn't a super emotional book, but it was fascinating, so interesting, and full of like little pearls of wisdom that I really liked. I just think she is an amazing woman, and I can't wait to see what she does with the rest of her life. Other than Becoming, I have read a little bit more in Whiteout by Ken Follett, but I'm still not done with it. I'll probably finish it in the next day or two because I have like 20 pages left. I also really haven't made that much progress in Little Darlings by Melanie Golding. It's not really holding my attention, and I'm so bummed because I was really looking forward to this book. I really hadn't heard like lots of great reviews for it or anything. It was just the premise of the book that really stuck with me ever since I first heard about it, and it just sounded like something I'd be really interested in. I am still on the fence about whether or not I want to DNF it. I don't think I want to give up quite yet, because I kind of do want to know if this woman that she saw and thinks is kidnapping her children, like if she's hallucinating or if that's like somehow real. I don't know. The book is written so that like you're not sure, and I kind of want to know, but I don't know if I want to read the whole book to find out. So I'm still reading it, but I did actually start another book. I started reading The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa Gratton. I'm doing this as a buddy read with Elle from Elliot Brooks. She actually set it up on Bizans. That reminds me, I should probably like tweet or put on Instagram that we're doing this buddy read. I know Elle posted something. Anyways, we're doing this buddy read, and we're gonna like discuss our thoughts on the app Bizans, which I've never used before, but I've seen her talk about. It's like a buddy reading app, which is pretty cool. Anyways, I'm only a little bit into it. I think like 40 pages or something. And I'm very intrigued and I'm excited, but I'm also a little nervous. I listened to the first couple of chapters on audiobook right off the bat, and I found myself a little confused. The dog's got haircuts today, which I took little clips of, but look at my little Chloe. Whenever she gets her hair cut, oh, your hair is wet. What did you put in your hair? She's got something in her hair. But what I was saying is that she always looks like Snoopy afterwards. She won't look at the camera. But I always think she looks like Snoopy after she gets her hair cut. I don't know what you put in your hair, but I need to figure that out in a minute. Anyways, Queens of Innis Lear. I'm a little nervous because the writing style, I think I like it, but I think I'm still kind of getting used to it. So I'm a little nervous about that. but I'm very intrigued by the world, and I'm still kind of like trying to figure things out. Like I said, I'm only 40 pages in. I think it might be a book that takes a little bit of getting into before you really know what's going on, which I'm a patient reader. I can wait and see. So I'm excited about that one. Anyways, those are all of the books that I am currently reading, and I will check in with you guys in a few more days. Bye. Hey guys, so it is Monday, January 13th, and it is time to close out my first reading vlog of the year. I actually got a good amount of reading done over the weekend. I don't know, I can't tell. Are you okay? Sit. What are you doing? I'm trying to film here. I can't tell if I'm just like really in a reading mood right now, or if doing these reading vlogs is also kind of like extra motivating me to read a lot lately, because I feel pressured to have something to update you guys with. But I definitely have been reading a lot over the, last couple of weeks. So I don't know how sustainable this reading pace is, but I'm definitely not complaining about reading a lot. So I finally finished Whiteout by Ken Follett. I have it right here. I finished this and I decided to give it a 3-star rating. It was just very average, forgettable. There were a lot of moments that made me roll my eyes in this one. So I wanted to read a disease outbreak book, and while there is a deadly virus in this book, the story doesn't center around the outbreak of that virus like at all. The very beginning of the book, like someone gets sick with the virus and dies, but I feel kind of duped because that didn't go anywhere. Like that wasn't really part of the main story. Instead, this turns into a heist where somebody is trying to steal this virus and release it to the rest of the world, and then it turns into like a home invasion story, and none of the characters were really that great. Like they were all very two-dimensional. There was some weird, like unnecessary sexual things in this book, like between two teenagers and then like this, I don't know, like 38-year-old woman and like a 50-something-year-old man, and I just didn't need any of the sex stuff. It felt very like out of place. I don't know, just a lot of the things in this book seemed random, and the characters were really flat, and just not a whole lot to make this stand out. It just was fine. And like a lot of my 3-star reads, there were things that I liked, but there were also a lot of things that I didn't like. So I settled on a 3-star rating for this. I'm interested in still checking out Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth series, because that's the one that I've heard the most about, but I definitely wasn't impressed with this book, and I'm a little bummed that this was my introduction to Ken Follett, because I've heard good things about his books before. If you guys have read any of Ken Follett's other books, let me know what you thought of them down in the comment section. Then the ebook that I have been reading is Little Darlings by Melanie Golding, and I said in my last clip that I was like possibly going to DNF it because it wasn't really drawing me in. I wasn't really enjoying reading it. Since then, I have decided to DNF it, but I did read quite a bit more in the book. So I actually got to about 41 to 43%-ish. And because I was struggling with it so much, I went and like looked at some Goodreads reviews. Sometimes that'll help me decide whether or not I'm going to give up on a book. And while I didn't see any spoilers in the Goodreads reviews, I kind of got the impression that this might have an ambiguous ending, and if you know anything about my reading taste, you know that I'm not a big fan of ambiguous endings. So I actually asked my friend Rachel, who had already read the book, if this book had an ambiguous ending, and she said that it definitely did. And so what I ended up doing, which is something that I haven't really ever done before is I went and read like the last 10% of the book. I just skipped to the end. I wanted to see how it ended, but at that point I'd already decided I was going to DNF the book. I didn't want to read the whole thing, but I at least wanted to see how it was going to end. So I read the last 10% of the book, and it definitely does have an ambiguous ending, and I know that if I had taken the time to read the whole thing and that was the ending I was given, I would have been very, like, not happy with that. It was just not very satisfactory for me personally. So I've decided to DNF that book, and I am going to give it a 2-star rating. Looking back on it now, like, I don't know what I really wanted out of the book, because it ended up being mostly just like a story about a woman going through a really tough postpartum, and there's like these weird things going on, and you don't know if it's all in her head or if it's something supernatural. And I guess what I would have wanted is for the book to end and it have been definitively said that it was something supernatural. I don't think I would have really wanted the book to definitively say that this woman was just kind of crazy, because I don't think that would have made for an enjoyable reading experience. I think in some ways I was like set up to not enjoy this book because I wanted it to turn out a certain way. But like taking all of the ending part out of the equation, I had a really hard time like connecting with the main character. There were some parts of her like first time motherhood experience that I just didn't find very realistic, but obviously I'm not a mother and everybody has different experiences, so I'm sure there are other people out there who really related to the things that the main character was going through, but I just didn't really connect with the characters and her relationships with the people around her, and I don't know, it wasn't fun. I didn't like it, and I definitely didn't like the ending, so it's a 2-star for me. And it was kind of predictable, because basically I guessed some of the things that happened at the end of the book when I was like 40% into it. And that brings me to the last book that I am currently reading. I don't have it here with me, it's next to my bed, but that is The Queens of Innis Lear. I've read another like 40 pages in it, so I'm about 90 pages in. That's about 13%, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna call it now. I think there's a chance that this is gonna be a 5-star book. The beginning was a little bit tough, and I think I mentioned that in my last clip. The writing style I was a little unsure about, but really like the writing style in the first like 2 to 3 chapters is a little bit different, I feel like, from what I'm getting now. It might be partially because I've started to kind of put the pieces together of how everybody is related to each other and things like that. But I'm definitely getting on a lot better with it now. I did basically read the first like 10% twice though to kind of wrap my head around it, because I was just like so confused. I think I mentioned that I started out doing audio and then kind of like went back and reread that in my ebook or physical form, and rereading those parts definitely helped me to put everything in place as far as like who is who. But now that I kind of have a good idea of who everybody is, and I'm learning more about like the world and the magic is so cool. There's like nature magic, but there's also like star prophecies. I just think it's so cool, and I love all of the characters so far. They're super interesting, very different from each other, and I have a bad feeling about where things are gonna go for the rest of the story, so I'm a little nervous about that, but nervous in the sense that like I think it might break my heart. But yeah, I'm 13% into it and really enjoying it, and I see the glimmer of possibility of this being a 5-star read. Let's hope it doesn't let me down. I decided to DNF Little Darlings just yesterday, so I'm officially only reading The Queens of Innis Lear right now, and I do have The Queens of Innis Lear in all 3 formats, so I don't really need to pick up anything else, but I also feel weird just reading one book because I don't do that very often. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed my very first reading vlog of the year. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.